The call by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for developed nations to place more emphasis on the exportation of guns and ammunition into developing countries is right on point. In an impassioned plea during his address to the United Nations General Assembly in New York on Thursday, Holness, whose administration is being blasted for its failure to corral the out-of-control murder rate, pointed to the crime problem being experienced by Caribbean and Latin American states due to gun violence. Thousands of lives are being erased annually and, in most reported cases of murder, the gun is the instrument of choice. Read, War on Guns. Guns and bullets are not produced by countries in the geographical area mentioned by Holness. Jamaica does not manufacture guns, but our population suffers from the effects of widely available guns. The countries that manufacture weapons that are available must implement stronger measures to ensure that those weapons do not end up in the hands of those for whom they were not intended, Holness said. This has been the case in Jamaica since tribal politics ruled the roost in the 1960s. The use of the gun in Jamaica took on more relevance in the turbulent 1970s, and now, 30 years later, a gun is probably easier to land in the hands of a misguided Jamaican youngster than a loaf of bread. Guns litter our country. 3 years ago, while in attendance at a press conference called by Holness to address the rising crime issue at Jamaica House, I posed the question to him. I asked the Prime Minister if he had any intentions of calling on the U.S. government to place more emphasis on stemming the influx of guns and ammunition into Jamaica. His reply was that we have a duty to ourselves to ensure these guns don't get into the land of wood and water, and calls to the U.S., while just, must not be our first reaction. Thankfully, he seems to have revisited the issue with a revised outlook. Jamaica has held up its end of the bargain with our major trading partner, the United States, as it relates to treaties surrounding the illicit drug trade, the Extradition Act, and other demands that have been foisted on us by the mighty Uncle Sam. They demanded that we send them Christopher, Dudas, coke, and we obliged. They demanded that we improve our drug detection techniques at our ports of entry and exit, and we complied. Now it's time for them to return the favor. Most of the guns and ammunition which now litter the Jamaican landscape and have its law-abiding citizens cowering in fear, originated in the United States. It is too much to ask of the Americans to pay special attention to the illegal exportation of firearms from their country to ours. In reality, there are so many guns and rounds of ammunition in the wrong hands across the Caribbean and Latin American region that even a concerted effort by all involved to stop any more of the one-eyed devils to enter the region would not alleviate the crisis. We need no more. Our countries are soaked in the blood of the innocent, and Jamaica will have to work assiduously to get the thousands of illegal guns off our streets. But while Holness' call, though years late, is just and good, he was right in declaring that Jamaica has a duty to protect itself and its borders. The recent move by the state to enact laws which will ensure that those who are held with guns, and those found guilty of facilitating their importation into our island, are slapped with lengthy prison terms, is a welcome sign. The hope is that the legislation will be pushed through as soon as is humanly possible and convictions secured. Enough is enough. Most Jamaicans are law-abiding citizens and should be afforded the fundamental human right of self-protection. So while those of us in the Jamaican diaspora agree with and support Holness' call, he needs to lead his government a couple steps further. Talk is cheap, Mr. Prime Minister. We are tired of speeches. Jamaica needs some action. This is where a recent call from Jamaica Labour Party parliamentarian Robert, Bobby, Montague resonates. Montague's call for legislation to be put through post-haste to allow for an upstanding Jamaican citizen, with no criminal record or mental challenges, to be able to acquire a legal firearm in defense of life and property without the present legal encumbrances and delays, is also on point. Decent Jamaican citizens are most times denied the right to own a gun. These same Jamaicans, who contribute to the tax net through their productivity, are caught in the crosshairs of uncaring hoodlums. They need protection. Why not give them the means to protect themselves? Jamaica is already overflowing with guns, so what's the big deal if law-abiding citizens are finally allowed to own theirs in order to protect their own? Mr. Holness, your call to the United Nations is a just one, however you need to take it a step further. Make it easier for our citizens to engage in the fight against those among us who will go to any lengths to perpetrate mayhem and chaos. Reason with America, but listen to Bobby.